Longtime 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley's evisceration of his MAGA-friendly bosses at CBS News is the media story that continues to reverberate around politics and media today. It's led to growing questions among CBS News and 60 Minutes staffers about Scott Pelley's future at the network, as well as what path forward 60 Minutes will take. It was on top. Where's it going now? It has, for decades, been the gold standard in broadcast journalism, a critical and commercial success, the rarest of things, a unicorn, if you will. But importantly, how did we get to this moment? Well, it started with CBS caving to Donald Trump after he sued the network over a 60 Minutes interview he didn't like with Kamala Harris. Paramount, the parent company of CBS, wound up paying Trump $16 million to settle. But before that settlement, CBS News pushed out Bill Owens, the longtime executive producer of 60 Minutes. Last night, that person, Bill Owens, accepted an award at the New York Press Club. Owens reacted to what had happened earlier in the day at 60 Minutes by saying this, quote, "Scott Pelley can smell a fraud a mile away. He stood up the way I did a year ago, and I couldn't be prouder of him, and I know all the people at 60 Minutes. All the people at 60 Minutes couldn't be prouder of him." CBS News and 60 Minutes are institutions, not places where partisans and ideologues should be employed, end quote. Wow. Back with me at the table, Oliver Darcy. He has been the reporter on this story about the revolt within 60 Minutes for his newsletter Status. Bill Owens, take me inside why this matters and tell people who he is.
Yeah, I mean, he is a veteran CBS News journalist. I believe he worked for CBS News for 3 decades plus. This is someone who's considered to be a very serious journalist, not someone who usually goes out and makes these remarks. He certainly doesn't talk
Won't say anything, doesn't say much of anything, doesn't inject himself into these cycles.
Exactly. And so for him to go out there and to say, you know, that Barry Weiss is murdering 60 Minutes or killing 60 Minutes, and then to go and talk about CBS News and how an ideologue is now running this network and how it's not a place for partisans to be running, you know, they shouldn't be running this network, is remarkable. And then to support Scott, obviously, he's close with Scott, so he obviously did support Scott. But again, this adds to the growing backlash that CBS News is facing. It's not outside critics who are saying that Barry Weiss is incompetent and shouldn't be in charge of the network. It's people who worked there their entire lives, right? It's Scott Pelley. It's Bill Owens. It's Cecilia Vega, although she was a little newer hire. But these are people largely that worked for CBS News. They were on the CBS News payroll. Anderson Cooper. These are not names that typically like to interject themselves into the public discussion. And when they do, they certainly think very carefully about what they say.
So what happens next?
I think that's the open question. It's what happens with Scott Pelley, right? And it's hard to imagine that he's going to be at the network long term. I mean, I just have a hard time imagining after hearing his remarks yesterday. Like, he is, it seems that.
And you listened to it, right?
I listened
had
to the audio, yeah. And I mean, it's hard to imagine that he's going to be working with Barry Weiss and Nick Bilton in the foreseeable future. And so the question is, what happens to 60 Minutes? You already lost Anderson Cooper as a correspondent. You fired Sharon Alfonsi. You fired Cecilia Vega. Theoretically, Scott's not going to be there. So you're down 4 major correspondents. And there are open questions about Bill Whitaker and Leslie Stahl, whether they're going to stay. And so it's like this show is crumbling before our eyes. It's hard to imagine. I was talking to people earlier inside the show, and they're not sure, you know, necessarily whether they can make the air in the fall because they don't even know which correspondents are going to be doing packages. So Donald Trump is getting what he wants, which is he wanted to muzzle this program. He wanted to suffocate it, and he's getting it. And, you know, it's, again, there's a lot of dots to connect, and your audience, I'm sure, has connected them.
Well, and what's interesting is we do what we do, right, for the viewers. And you could make a business argument that the other programs could do better by their viewers, right? You could have more viewers for the CBS Evening News. I think it's come in third for years. Mm-hmm. I don't know as much about the morning show, but I think it also comes in third often. You cannot make a business argument about 60 Minutes. It's the top of the top. It sits atop everything else that has ever come along and tried to do what it does, which is compelling journalism on television. What is, to your point, that there's nothing left, I mean, what do all of those people go and do? Do they go form something on their own outside of CBS?
I'm not sure. This is a problem we're seeing across the journalism community. You know, the Washington Post was, Jeff Bezos let that paper flail, and a lot of journalists left to go to other outlets. But I think your point, too, about 60 Minutes is so important. It's not even that they were averaging over 9 million viewers every single Sunday, which is the highest rated television news program, right? But also on digital. They were doing very well on digital. In fact, less than 2 weeks ago, they put out a press release bragging about how well they did on digital this season. I think that over 2.5 billion video views across their social platforms. Wow. They said they were up over 180% year over year. And this is sort of the rationale that Bari Weiss and her deputies are using for overhauling this network. Like, yes, we understand linear was strong, but we want to be strong on digital where the future is. Well, you just fired the people that led you to the biggest digital season you've ever had on record. I mean, 60 Minutes is the rare exception, actually, in television news where they're doing really well on digital. People go to YouTube to watch these 60 Minutes pieces. They watch them on TikTok. So, there's no business justification for overhauling this program. As the old saying goes, don't fix it if it's not broken.
And this wasn't even just not broken. I mean, this was thriving. This was the best of the best.
Yeah, this is like you have a Lamborghini in your garage, and it's a very fast car, and everyone envies that car and wishes it was in their garage, and then saying, I'm going to disassemble the whole thing and take apart the engine. And you wouldn't do that. It makes no sense.
But the Lamborghini thing is, it's like a Lamborghini that's also comfortable. Like, this was a thing that was watchable and successful. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you what happens to Bari Weiss and if David Ellison is just so politically obsessed that he doesn't care about all this failure.
As far as I can tell, David Ellison's backing her 100%. He must have known.
Out of what? Out of just...
I mean, he must have known. He surely has people around him who would tell him that if Bari Weiss does this to 60 Minutes, there's going to be significant backlash. And he allowed her to do this. Make no mistake, she reports to David Ellison directly. And so there's no world in which any of this is happening without David Ellison's explicit approval. And, he's the one that brought her in. He paid $150-some million to hire Bari Weiss and to acquire her anti-woke outlet, The Free Press. He paid a lot of money to have her in charge of CBS News. It's not like a regular hire where she's getting paid a few $1 million a year salary. He paid $150 million-ish to bring her on board. So he's sticking with her for now. I don't know how this is sustainable long term, but if you don't care about the actual news division and you want to just get a business deal done, which is what he wants, maybe it doesn't matter.
What's amazing, though, is that he obviously doesn't care about excellence or elegance or competence or brilliance, because that's what 60 Minutes was. It was excellent, it was elegant, it was brilliant, and it was wildly commercially successful.
And he's going to go down in history with this huge stain on his legacy, that he is the one who allowed 60 Minutes to be shattered. At the time we really need it most, when authoritarianism is almost, it's on the rise in this country. Mm-hmm. So. But
forget about, he's put himself on the anti-democracy side over and over again, but he also just looks like a schmo. Like, he just looks like a guy that does dumb things it just looks like a guy that crashes cars for fun or drops Legos, child that drops Legos off the kitchen counter to watch them break. Doesn't look particularly enlightened.
He doesn't look very savvy. It's not like there's some grand strategy that seems like it's not even like they hired someone to lead 60 Minutes who is like super savvy, almost like a Roger Ailes.
3D chess.
Like, this isn't Roger Ailes they brought in, who's like, you can very much disagree with the politics and what he's done to the public discussion at Fox News. But Roger Ailes is a pretty smart guy, and a guy who knew how to run a network.
This is not that.
This is a lot of self-inflicted mistakes over and over and over again. And, you're just watching it play out. It's like everyone's watching this fire from the west side of Manhattan.